Before we begin, we publish new content every day. So be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. The sound of crystal shattering against marble should have been my first warning that this night would unravel 30 years of carefully buried secrets. I am Sydney Stones, and at 60, I thought I had mastered the art of surviving Manhattan's glittering battlefield. The Onyx restaurant had been my sanctuary for years, a place where I could nurse a Sauvignon Blanc in peace and watch the city's elite perform their nightly dance of ambition and deceit. That October evening, the autumn chill had driven me indoors earlier than usual, seeking the warmth of familiar solitude. The restaurant hummed with its usual symphony of clinking glasses and hushed conversations. I sat at my preferred corner table, observing the theater of Manhattan's upper echelon, when a voice, low and commanding, whispered close to my ear like a ghost from my past. "Pretend I'm your boyfriend, right now." My hand trembled so violently that wine splashed onto the white tablecloth. I turned slowly, my heart hammering against my ribs, and found myself staring into eyes I had spent 3 decades trying to forget. Victor Thorne stood behind my chair, his silver hair immaculately styled, his smile still carrying that dangerous charm that had once destroyed my world. Time had carved lines around his eyes and added distinguished silver to his temples, but the predatory gleam in his gaze remained unchanged. He slid into the seat across from me without invitation, his movements fluid and calculated. "Sydney." His voice carried a mixture of surprise and something else I couldn't identify. "I can't believe you're here." 3 men in expensive suits at a nearby table were watching him intently, their expressions ranging from impatient to hostile. Victor's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly as he noticed my gaze drift toward them. "Still sharp as ever," he murmured, reaching across the table to cover my hand with his. I jerked away as if burned. "Don't touch me," I hissed, keeping my voice low. "What are you doing here, Victor? And why should I help you with whatever mess you've created now?" His laugh was bitter. "Same old Sydney, always cutting straight to the heart of things." He gestured casually to the waiter, ordering wine with the confidence of a man who had never been denied anything. "Those gentlemen over there represent some very serious investors. I'm in the middle of closing a deal that could set us both up for life." "Us?" The word came out strangled. "There is no us, Victor. There hasn't been since you disappeared 30 years ago, leaving nothing but wreckage behind." For a moment, his mask slipped, revealing something that might have been genuine regret. But it was gone so quickly, I wondered if I had imagined it. "I had to leave, Sydney. You don't understand the forces that were at play back then. I was protecting you." "Protecting me?" My voice rose slightly, drawing curious glances from nearby tables. "You destroyed my father's business. His death was ruled a suicide. But we both know what really killed him. The shame, the financial ruin, the betrayal by someone he trusted like a son." Victor's face went pale, and for the first time since he'd sat down, he looked genuinely shaken. "Your father's death wasn't supposed to happen." "But it did happen," I cut him off. "And you vanished like smoke, leaving me to pick up the pieces of a shattered life." The waiter arrived with our wine, and Victor composed himself, transforming back into the smooth operator I remembered too well. As the waiter departed, Victor leaned forward conspiratorially. "Listen to me carefully, Sydney. I know you have every reason to hate me, but I need your help tonight. Play along for just 1 hour, let these men think we're together, and I'll give you something you've wanted for 30 years. "And what's that?" "The truth. About your father. About why I really left. About the real reason his business collapsed." That con. Before I could respond, a young woman with striking features and designer clothes appeared at our table. She was perhaps 35, with Victor's distinctive cheekbones and the same calculating intelligence in her dark eyes. "Dad." Her voice was tight with controlled anger. "I've been looking everywhere for you. We had an appointment 3 hours ago." Victor's composure cracked completely. "Eleanor, this isn't a good time. It's never a good time with you," she snapped. then turned to me with an apologetic smile. "I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm Eleanor Thorne, Victor's daughter." The revelation hit me like a physical blow. Victor had a daughter he had clearly been hiding, just as he had hidden so many other aspects of his life. Eleanor continued, oblivious to my shock. "Dad promised to review the financial projections for my startup tonight. Instead, I find him here, apparently on a date." Her voice carried a bitter edge that suggested a long history of broken promises and disappointments. Victor stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "We'll discuss this later, Eleanor. Go home." "Number," Eleanor's voice was firm. "I've invested everything in this company, Dad. My savings, my reputation, my future. You promised to help, and then you disappear without explanation. Again." I watched this family drama unfold with fascination and growing understanding. Victor hadn't changed. He was still the master manipulator, still leaving destruction in his wake, still running from responsibility. The three men from the other table had risen and were approaching us. The largest of them, a man with scarred hands and cold eyes, stopped beside Victor's chair. "Mr. Thorne, we've been waiting." Victor's face had gone ashen. "Gentlemen, please, give me just a few more minutes to conclude my personal business." "Your personal business has already cost us an hour of our time," the man replied. "Time is money, Mr. Thorne, and you owe us quite a lot of both." Eleanor looked confused and alarmed. "Dad, what's going on? Who are these men?" I found myself standing, surprising everyone, including myself. "Eleanor, I think your father has some explaining to do." To all of us. The next few minutes passed in a blur of raised voices and accusations. The investors revealed that Victor had promised them exclusive access to a revolutionary new technology that apparently didn't exist. Eleanor discovered that the seed money Victor had promised for her startup had been part of an elaborate Ponzi scheme. And I learned that Victor's sudden reappearance in New York wasn't coincidence. It was desperation. As the confrontation escalated, Victor made a desperate play for sympathy. "Sydney, you know me. You know I would never intentionally hurt anyone. Your father was like family to me." That's when something inside me snapped. The careful control I had maintained for decades crumbled, and 30 years of suppressed rage came pouring out. "Family?" I stood, my voice carrying across the restaurant. "You stole from my father. You forged documents, created shell companies, and systematically drained his business accounts. I found the evidence, Victor. All of it." The restaurant had gone quiet, other diners turning to watch our drama unfold. Victor looked around desperately, realizing his careful facade was crumbling. "I have copies of everything," I continued, my voice steady now with righteous fury. "The falsified contracts, the offshore accounts, the payments to your accomplices. I've had them for 20 years, waiting for the right moment." Eleanor stared at her father in horror. "Dad, is this true?" Victor's shoulders slumped in defeat. It wasn't supposed to happen that way. The business was failing anyway. I was just trying to salvage what I could. By destroying an innocent man? FTD. I pulled out my phone, scrolling to a contact I hadn't used in years. "Detective Martinez. This is Sydney Stones. I'm ready to give you that statement now." What followed was chaos. Victor tried to flee, but the investors blocked his path. Eleanor broke down in tears, realizing her entire relationship with her father had been built on lies. The police arrived within minutes, having been tipped off by the restaurant manager about the escalating situation. As Victor was led away in handcuffs, he looked back at me with something that might have been respect. "You always were stronger than I gave you credit for, Sydney." Eleanor approached me as the restaurant began to return to normal. "I'm so sorry," she said, tears streaming down her face. I had no idea what kind of man he really was. I studied her face, seeing genuine remorse and pain. "Your father is responsible for his actions, not you. But I suspect you have some difficult decisions ahead of you." Over the following weeks, Eleanor and I formed an unlikely friendship. She had been as much a victim of Victor's manipulations as anyone else, raised on lies and false promises. Together, we worked with federal prosecutors to unravel the full extent of Victor's crimes, which stretched back decades and involved dozens of victims. The investigation revealed that my father had been just one of many businessmen Victor had targeted and destroyed. The pattern was always the same: befriend successful older men, gain their trust, then systematically loot their companies before disappearing. My father's suicide had been the only death directly linked to Victor's crimes. But there had been other casualties: broken families, ruined lives, shattered dreams. Eleanor proved instrumental in the investigation. She had unknowingly helped her father launder money through her various business ventures over the years. When she realized the truth, she cooperated fully with authorities, even though it meant losing everything she had built. The trial lasted 6 months. Victor was sentenced to 25 years in federal prison for fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy. At his sentencing, I stood before the court and delivered a victim impact statement that had been 30 years in the making. Victor Thorne didn't just steal money, I said, looking directly at him across the courtroom. He stole lives, he stole futures, he stole a father from his daughter, and left behind a legacy of pain that has echoed through decades. Victor showed no emotion as he was led away, but Eleanor broke down completely. I found myself comforting the daughter of the man who had destroyed my family. And in that moment, I realized that healing sometimes comes from the most unexpected places. After the trial ended, Eleanor and I decided to turn our shared experience into something positive. We established the Sidney Stones Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping victims of financial fraud, particularly elderly victims who were targeted by trusted individuals. Eleanor threw herself into the work with the passion of someone seeking redemption. She used her business skills to build the foundation into a respected organization that has helped hundreds of families recover from financial abuse. In many ways, she became the daughter I never had, and I became the mother she had always needed. Today, 5 years later, I still visit the Onyx restaurant occasionally, but I no longer sit alone in the corner, nursing my wine and watching other people's lives unfold. Now I'm usually there with Eleanor, planning our next campaign or celebrating another victory for one of our clients. The city that once seemed so cold and unforgiving now feels like home again. Manhattan's towering buildings no longer intimidate me. They inspire me. Every morning when I look out my window at the bustling streets below, I'm reminded that even in the most impersonal places, human connections can flourish, and healing can happen. Victor Thorne taught me that trust, once broken, leaves scars that never fully fade. But Eleanor taught me that those scars can become sources of strength, and that the worst betrayals can sometimes lead to the most meaningful relationships. The echoes from my past no longer haunt me. Instead, they've become a symphony of survival, resilience, and hope. At 65, I've learned that it's never too late to reclaim your life, to set boundaries, and to discover that your greatest strength often comes from your deepest wounds. Manhattan never sleeps, they say, and neither do its survivors. We just learn to dream with our eyes open. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, drop a like and a comment, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on our new content.